Hello to you all. So it's wonderful to have you back, and welcome to Lee and Fritz. Thanks very much for organising, to both of you, and to sharing with everyone. The feedback that I got from the event was that it was, and I've said this before, but it was like drinking from a fire hose. And considering that I was talking from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. at night, it was like drinking from a fire hose when you've been swimming in the ocean for the whole day and you didn't need any water. You literally had water everywhere. So what we tried to do was think about putting a webinar together and to literally do a Q&A to run through a couple of the highlights and mainly to ask any questions. So before I go any further, I just wanted to say hello to Lee. We've got Lee, who's head of our community, coming out of Saudi Arabia. If we think we're a global company, we very much are. And Fritz, who is coming out of the Western Cape and was actually there. So many of you, if you saw him face to face, him and I were there on the weekend together. And between the three of us, we intend to hold your hand tonight. We've got a nice group of people and we want to answer as many questions as possible. So welcome to the two of you. Wonderful to have you both online.
Thanks, Scott. It's great to be here. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. We look forward to answering your questions. Scott is in the hot seat, but Fritz and I are here to support him. So please fire away the most difficult question you can think of, and let's see if we can make him squirm.
And just before I get to my Q&A, what I'd like to do now is hand to Fritz, who's going to run us through a presentation of everything that he experienced on the weekend. Oh wait, sorry, that was watching Fritz squirm. Sorry, I'm having a bit of fun tonight. But anyway.
Sounds Scott. Putting me on the hot seat. No.
Let's rock and roll.
And thanks to everyone. And that's wonderful to see the interest.
Perfect. Now let's maybe this is your first webinar. I do or don't know. So you'll see there's a little button in the top right corner. If you click on that, it's got a button that says questions. So in the question box, just type in where you're from. It'll be interesting to know where you're from. And I'm always fascinated because what it means is you know how to ask a question. We do have a rule that we can't actually start the webinar until the first person tells us where they're from. So Lee, we've got a problem because either people are not understanding my English or not knowing where the box is.
Oh, Scott, I think that they are there. I think they're just trying to find their way and they're eager to learn from you. We've got from KwaZulu-Natal and moved up to Joburg 3 years ago. That's from Brett. Welcome, Brett. It's great to have you on the webinar. I did a very similar trip when I was still in Joburg, originally from Amanzimtoti and moved up to Joburg. So I know how that feels. You must be missing the waves.
Yeah, that's why I moved back to Knysna, because 9 years in London and 3 years in Joburg was too much. Anyway, let's rock and roll. So I can see where everyone's coming through, and thanks for the people that are sending through. Appreciate it. Why are we doing this webinar? The intention of this webinar is not to give you any more information. You've got the information. If you don't have the recording to the webinar that I did for Real Success, I can't even remember, Lee, how long ago. It was the end of January. But just put in their recording, and Lee will be able to send you the recording. I see no point in us, repeating the same information that is already digitally recorded and available, where a number of the main items were dealt with. And so if you are interested in the recording, let us know. There's a huge amount of information out there. But what I wanted to do was just to run through some of the highlights that we went through on the webinar. I'm not going to talk around all the stories and everything else because of the live event, we went into those in detail. So the first thing that I think is really important is that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. There is no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme, in my opinion. And the only thing that's guaranteed with a get-rich-quick scheme is you'll get equally as poor as quickly doing something else as well. And so what is important is that this is about a 20-year plan. If you want to accelerate that, you can make it a 5-year plan. If you want to make it longer, you can make a longer plan. There's only really 3 variables that come into account. It's the amount of money you want to put in, the amount of time that you want to invest, and the type of return that you're looking for. And I tend to say to people, if you want to be a global citizen and work on $15,000, that's a pretty good number in terms of wanting to be a global citizen, but you can make it higher or lower. And it's really about giving the people systems, giving you the systems so that you can make those decisions. I showed you the story of Tony Robbins, and I told you a lot of stories around Tony Robbins. This is a picture of me and him when 10 years ago. And what's quite important is that there are 3 principles that came out of the story. Firstly was that repetition is the mother of skill. So even if you saw me at the event, the big event 4 weeks ago, and then you were on the webinar, and then you were on the weekend event, you might find that repetition is the mother of skill. The second thing that's critically important is that you need to be able to take chances. You need to invest in yourself. And I told the story of how I flew to Fiji, how I did business mastery, how it cost me $50,000. But by doing that, it helped me take my business to the next level. And ultimately, it helped us grow Wealth Migrate, and even for us to be having this conversation. And the third thing, which I think is most important of all of them, is that when it comes to investing and to success, not only does it take the persistence, not only does it involve taking the risk, but often in life, it's just one little thing, one little lesson, one person. Maybe it's not me, maybe it's Lee, maybe it's Fritz. One person that has a material impact and really can help you leverage and take you to the next level. So for me, when you're looking at any skill, if you look at, as an example, time management, if I was giving you a course tonight on time management, most of you would start over here, and you would have dramatic increase once you had the training. And then what would happen after the training, you would fall off, but you would be at a baseline which would be higher. And then you would have more training. Hopefully, when the session is repeated and you would go to a new level, it would fall off, but your baseline would be higher again. And then you need more training again, and you would fall off, but your baseline would be higher. It's quite simple, actually. And the only way to consistently get better is to be consistently repeating the important fundamentals and be doing it over and over and over again. So what's important, if we come back to the whole Tony Robbins thing, like I mentioned, is that you might have heard some of this before, you might think you know it, but unless you're actually doing it, you don't know it. Well, I did talk about the bonus of Zig Ziglar and how you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And if you remember, I shared with you the wealth code. Now, Lee, could you qualify in terms of, because everyone that gave us their name and email and put it in the jar actually should have got a copy of the wealth code. And I just want to double check that we did send this out. And certainly on this webinar, if anyone doesn't have it, please reach out to us.
So yes, Scott, that has gone out, but I am happy to resend it to anyone who has not received that, or it might have ended up in their junk or spam folders. So just let us know if you haven't received it, and we're happy to send that out again.
Perfect, thanks, Lee. And remember that there's the 12 key components of wealth, which we went through in a lot of detail at the live event. Firstly, focus on income producing assets. Secondly, don't lose money. Thirdly, asymmetric risk reward. Fourthly, tax efficiency. Fifthly, diversification across and within assets, markets, currencies, and time. Fifth, the fundamental of investing is real estate, business, don't change. The next one is compound interest, is the eighth wonder of the world, Albert Einstein, and we talk a lot about portfolio strategy. Gratitude is the key to success. Your mind creates your destiny and your life, nurture it. Chaos is your best friend. In chaos, there is opportunity. And this is quite an interesting one, because I even find that sometimes in life, if you, what's going on there? The sun's shining through and causing havoc on my back wall. Sometimes in life, what is also interesting is that if your mind is in chaos, if you're feeling concerned, if you don't know the next steps, sometimes that's also your best opportunity, because it means you're about to have a breakthrough. To risk nothing is to risk everything. So you risk something tonight just by being here with your time. And then the last one, which I believe is the most important one, particularly in the 21st century, is be constantly learning. I did explain to you the value chain of real estate, and if you remember how important this is, you can go read all about it on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile. But in simple terms, our whole philosophy is to cut out the middlemen. And if you invest directly in an income producing asset like a shopping center or medical building, we call it an income investment. And if you invest directly in a new development, then we call that a growth opportunity. But in simple terms, we recommend cutting out the middlemen and going direct to source, because it actually is safer and it gets you far better returns. When you look at our business model, it is simple. We get the best suppliers around the world, the trusted suppliers that have been in the game for a long time, at least a decade or more. They list their properties on the platform. You and I get access to those properties, and there's literally 4 simple steps. We sign up on the platform, we select an investment, we transact online, and then we manage our global portfolio in one place. And I always repeat to everyone, we don't give you financial advice. We give you the information, we give you the tools, but I think it would be stupid and arrogant of me or anyone on our team to think that we know what's better for you better than you know what's good for you. The 21st century is all about self-control and taking responsibility, and most importantly, getting the results you want in your life, because it is truly possible. What was incredibly difficult, just to invest in local property, broken toilets, management, maintenance. If you start worrying about international property with tax and structuring and bank accounts, it becomes even more complicated. You can now literally do it in minutes. You can get access to the best partners and the best opportunities from literally $1,000. And now, without all that hassle, you can simply and safely just focus on the best returns. If you want to watch it going live, this is the platform, and in less than 30 seconds, someone can literally go into a deal. They can read all about it. They can read all the due diligence and everything else. Obviously, if you want more time to go through it, you can. You can look at all the financial information. You can go and download all the brochures. Once you're happy, you can literally go into the platform. You can put in the amount of money. You can sign it off that you've read all the documents. You can literally agree. You can send your money, and that's it. In less than 30 seconds, you've actually invested in a medical building in America. You can now go online. You can manage your dashboards, and you can actually see everything all in one place. So in 36 seconds, I think that video is, we literally demonstrated how easily you can invest on the platform. And if you want me to, in the Q&A session, you want to go into more detail, I can certainly go through that. I spoke about portfolio strategy, and you'll remember the story about my son and how I did all the maths around how Jonty would be able to get to university one day, and all around the return and the maths. What's really interesting, if I go back to my spreadsheet here, you'll actually see that we've been building this out, and we're turning it into a freedom calculator. Now you literally are seeing, which has never been seen before, the back ends of this document, really where this started. And I don't think I opened it. Sorry, let me just get it quickly here. Was the calculator I've always used just for simple maths, where I can literally work out my passive income. I can go and work out how much passive income do I want to earn per year, what is the amount of capital that I require, how much would I need to put away per month or per year to ultimately be able to get that. And then I also shared with you the 20-year plan of how you could literally start with $100, and within a space of 20 years, with the properties that we've got on our platform, you could actually end up after 20 years in today's money with over $15,000 in passive income. Now, my purpose tonight is not to go into all the detail of how. I just want to remind you that it's possible, and what I believe is fundamentally important is giving you the belief, the knowledge, the access, and the systems so that you too can do this in your life. And that's why I fundamentally believe that getting $15,000 per month as a passive income in the next 20 years is completely doable, because anyone can find $100 if it's truly that important to them in their life. In terms of, I spoke about for more advanced people that wanted to come on buyers trips, this is what we've been doing since 2012. We literally take people over to America. We generally go to 3 cities. We drive and we go and look at the properties. We meet people on the ground. We used to do residential. We now primarily do commercial. We go to the commercial buildings. We meet the partners. You get a sense of what's happening on the ground. And we're doing it this year in both America and in England. So you've got the ability to come and spend time on the ground and learn from the team and myself and others, and really get a feel for it. It's how some of our best clients have literally built up trust, and many of them have invested millions and millions of US dollars with us because they came on the buyer's trip, they met the partners on the ground, they saw the integrity of what they're doing, the projects, the numbers, and everything else. And it's a very, very valuable experience. And by the way, as a matter of interest, it's also quite a fun experience. We can't work hard without having a lot of fun on the site, and so people really, really enjoy it. And these are just pictures of different buyers trips you know, walking around, looking at properties, opening up bank accounts, and even having fun on Beale Street, which is in Memphis, Tennessee, which is where Elvis Presley's from. So the question I always ask everyone is, what are you doing to be a global citizen? And, you know, it's 2020 now, and are you ready? Are you making progress along this journey? And what I shared with people at both the webinars and the live events, there's 6 things that investors need. The first one is that they need belief. You know, everything else is a waste of time if you don't have the belief that this can be for you. Forget about for me, forget about for anyone else. It literally, you have to have the belief, and we can help you get that belief. The second is the knowledge, so we help you get the knowledge, but I fundamentally believe the world has changed. It's not about getting the knowledge and then going and doing it. I believe it's about learning while doing and consistently just getting better and better and better. Then it's about the access and the investment. You know, you actually need to get started. When you learn to walk, you didn't just stand up and start walking. You fell down a few times, but the bottom line is you had to persist, and you had to, you know, fall down to learn to walk. You need a system. You know, there's no one right system in the world, but what I've learned from the most successful people in the world is that they have a system to succeed. You need support and accountability, and this is where Fritz and the team come in, where they can literally hold your hand, they can support you, and we can also hold you accountability on, accountable on your journey to be able to getting, your results. And finally, you need results. It's not worth doing all of the stuff if you don't actually get results, if you don't create the wealth that you want in your life, if you don't create the freedom that you want in your life. So they're the 6 major steps that any one investor is looking to achieve. And we've built a plethora of different ways to help people be able to achieve that. So when one looks at it, most of us are trying to do everything on our own, and yet a bird flying in a flock can fly 70% further than a bird flying, a bird flying in a flock can fly 70% further than a bird flying on its own. Think about the shoals of fish swimming across the ocean. Think about the herds of buck going across the plains. And yet as investors, we tend to think we've got to do it all on our own. Or, the research that came out recently from Deepak Chakra, you are literally have a less than 50% chance of success if you try and do it on your own. You've got about a 60% chance if you've got a partner, and you've got a higher than 70% chance if you have a like-minded, group of people, a mastermind or inner circle, someone that is actually holding you to account. And so that's why we created our Wealth Inner Circle. Ultimately, it's real people doing real investments with an ongoing coaching facility and getting results. And we tend to say that there's 4 different parts to it. The first is education. You've got to get the knowledge. Secondly is community. You want to be part of a like-minded group of people that are going in the right direction. Third is investment. There's no point in learning all the stuff if you don't actually do something. And the fourth is purpose. Imagine if we could create a better and more sustainable planet for all while you're succeeding, and by you succeeding, you're having a purposeful impact on the planet. We created the eWealth Pack, and I've been showing people the eWealth Pack just today, actually. And if I go into it over here, you can see the eWealth Pack. Now, there's over $5,000 worth of value here, and we share this with people that are part of our inner circle. It's got access to my book. It's got access to the investor test. I believe the investor test is so powerful because every single one of us is on a personal journey. You will do the test. It'll come out with 5 different areas: your investment quotient, your connected quotient, your financial quotient, your systems quotient, and your purpose quotient. And ultimately, this comes all into your FQ, which is your financial quotient. And then basically, if you take as an example, this person on the investment quotient, they're between 60 and 80. They would then go down to investment quotient. They would read all about it. And then under 60 to 80, it tells them exactly what to do with regards to their mindset and their knowledge, literally the next steps. So it gives every single person a personalized path as to what they should do next. And that's all part of the eWealth Pack. If I go back to the eWealth Pack, there's a huge amount more with micro degrees, white papers, books, resources, social media, blog posts, life hacks, etc. I'm a big believer, and one of my weaknesses is overwhelming people, but I believe that I've spent over 20 years gathering all this information. Our team with Lee and Fritz and everyone else has spent a huge amount of time gathering this information. Why go and try and go on this long journey and do it all yourself? we've put it all in one place to make it easy for people. I've already explained to you the investor test, the 5 different energies. It's built on the I Ching, which is over 6,000 years worth of knowledge and wisdom. It's built on nature's principles, and it's built on the fundamentals of investing and real estate. And so again, you've got to know where you are, and you've got to know where you want to get to. And just like a GPS, it helps you with your journey in terms of that path. The 8 Steps to Wealth is a micro degree that literally takes you through the process of how to get started, how to get set up, how to do your goal planning, how to start investing, how to track. There's 8 simple steps, but 8 critical steps to your success on your investment journey. And finally, what we found with most people is that it all sounds too good to be true in their heads, and they don't actually do anything. So we've created the Wealth GPS that literally, just like a GPS, helps you determine where you are, where you want to get to, and your journey along the way. And we call that our Wealth GPS. It's effectively a way to get started and to take you through all the important information. And then finally, that's all the education side, but ultimately this is about investing. And you can go to our platform, as I've already shared with you. You can go online, you can see the different deals, you can actually invest in them on the platform and ultimately take advantage. And you literally can get started from $100. Our average investment is $37,000 per deal, and we've had many people invest $1 million plus, including institutional investors. And then really for me, what is critically important, and this is where Fritz comes online, is that, for me, this is not a journey that you need to walk on your own. And this is where our wealth consultants, come to the table, they hold your hand, they come on the journey with you. And the metaphor I like to give to people is that when you learn to walk, you had 2 ways of learning to walk. You could have tried to learn to walk on the freeway, and every single one of you probably learned to walk. But most of you probably learned to walk with your mommy walking around, holding your hands, going, whatever, and trying to be nice. And you would have fallen over a few times, but they would have protected you. And really our idea with the wealth consultants is for someone to be there to guide you. You are going to fall over. It is your own journey. It is your duty to learn to walk and to ultimately stand up and experience life. But it's a hell of a lot easier when your mother or your brother or your sister or your father is there to help you and to give you guides and those little walking things to make it easier versus just going out on the freeway and trying on your own. And my invitation to you is you can literally, every single one of us has learned to walk. Imagine a life if you hadn't learned to walk. Imagine if you were still lying on your belly on the floor. What would that be like? And think of that as the metaphor for investing and becoming a global citizen. Because right now you might be lying on your belly, and we want to help you learn to walk. And if you're already walking, we want to help you learn to sprint. And if you're already sprinting, we want to help you learn to run a marathon. I've run 3 of them. You wouldn't think so with this body, but ultimately we want to help you. And that's where Fritz, comes in. And I'm glad Fritz is online, and he's definitely better looking in real life than this picture that he sent through. But yeah, Fritz, just from your perspective, you've got a lot of experience in investing. You've done one of the most highly sought after degrees in terms of the CFA route. So around the theory, but what's more important is it's not about the theory, it's about the doing, and that's principally where I believe you add most value to people, because you can be there, help them, guide them, whether it's the education and what to do next, or whether it's about the deals and what's happening, to help them make the right steps.
So I just want to reiterate, guys, I'm happy to see you guys here. I'm happy you're here with us, and I'm excited to be on this journey with you and to help you ultimately reach your financial goals. As Scott said, I've got experience, I've got education, all of that with regards to investments, and I'm so excited about this whole wealth migrate principle and the way that we can help people. Because I've got the trust in the product and the trust in the way the whole system works, and I'm there to show you guys the way, basically. Hold your hands.
Awesome, thank you very much, Fritz. And so you've got Fritz's details there, and if you didn't get them in time, just reach out and say, please contact me. And then finally, we wanted to make it really easy for people, and so we took everything that you've just seen and we put it together in a thing called the starter pack. And ultimately what it does is it allows you get a $100 voucher to be able to get going. Literally $100 gets put in your wallet so that you can get going. You join the Inner Circle, which is the 12-month subscription that we've already spoken about of the global community. You get the Wealth Pack, you get the micro degrees, you get the Wealth GPS, which is a 10-lesson online course. You get access to Fritz from a wealth consultancy perspective. And what we've done, and what I shared with you on the weekend, is although the value is worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, we've actually wanted to make it really affordable for people so that they can literally get started. We don't make money out of selling digital products. That's not our intention. Our purpose and our passion is to help people invest in property, because by doing that, they're going to set themselves up for freedom. And so if you think about it, with $197, you're already getting $100 invested in the wallet. So it's literally costing you $97 to do everything else. Why do we charge $97? What's really interesting for us is that we used to give away the $100 for free. And I'd love to know if you know the number of people that actually took advantage of a free $100. Literally, it's like walking up to someone and giving them $100. What percentage of people do you think redeemed their vouchers on the platform? It was less than 1%. Now, it's really interesting that less than 1% of the world get wealthy. What I find fascinating is that when you look at the stats around the world, it's the same stats over and over again. And so what we decided is that we want to empower and work with the people that are truly committed. And so we put together the 197 starter pack. It's got all the information. It's got Fritz from a wealth consultancy perspective to help people and hold their hands. And ultimately, it just differentiates the wheat from the chaff, so that we're working with people that are truly committed and are there to get results for themselves, versus the fair weather people that want, you know, the government or someone else to look after them. So in terms of you know, if you are interested in it, you know, we've got the links there. You can go to sales.com/wealth. Just confirm with me, Lee, that is the right link. I know we changed it in terms of, and I just want to make sure I got the right one. I actually forgot to ask.
Yeah, we have updated it, but it's not a problem. If they want to use that one for tonight, that's great. I will put the updated link into the chat box now for everybody to use.
Thank you. Note to self: check with Lee what link is before webinar. And if you wanted the next steps, there is a code here. You can just take a screenshot, or there's a, I don't know if that's the right code there, the bit.ly/WM start.
That is the correct code. That is exactly it. So please just use that code. He got it right on the second slide. 50%, that's great odds.
Well, this is the fourth webinar that I've done for Brian and his group, and every time you guys give me a different link, so I'm a bit confused, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, so use the one that's below the QR code in red here, where it says get yours here. Use this one. That's the right thing in terms of where we're at. And then, just as a matter of interest, something we didn't talk about is that if you want to meet us face to face and you want to come and get into more detail, we've been doing roadshow breakfasts for 15 years around the country. We've got them in March, so March the 16th in Durban, March the 17th in Cape Town, March the 18th in Johannesburg, and March the 19th in Pretoria. And you can actually see them there. And we call them a wealth breakfast. It's a 4-hour breakfast where we go a lot deeper into the topics. We spend time on the platform. We spend time on the deals. You get to meet the team face to face. So if you really want to be able to come and meet the team, then this is an opportunity. If you're on live on this webinar, we always like to add value to the people who turned up live on the webinar versus watch the recording. If you do sign up for the starter pack this evening, we will chuck in a breakfast ticket for free. So literally, if you sign up for the starter pack this evening before midnight tonight, we will literally chuck in a breakfast invite for you to come for free. So because again, I've told you already, repetition is the mother of skill. And if you want to meet us face to face and spend time with the team, we really want to welcome you to that. And then finally, this is where I get really excited about where the world is going and how technology is changing the property industry. I went into a little bit of detail around Wealth 5.0 and how this is the new economy and where the world's going in this decade, and most importantly, how you can take advantage of it to not only grow your own wealth, but to grow generational wealth, and on top of that, to have a purposeful impact on the planet. So one of the things that we do for people that want to go more advanced in the space, I cum laude my degree back in 1998 on how technology was going to change the property and construction industry. I cum laude my degree, my master's degree in London in 2001 on the same topic. And I basically spent the last 22 years of my life marrying together technology and property and bringing it all together and helping people become global citizens. And so what we did is that we took the starter pack and we said to people that want to be more advanced and want to come on a journey and want to deal with me one-to-one with an intensive 12-week program where we will ultimately take them on the journey. Because what I learned going back to the Tony Robbins thing is I actually got the rights for Tony Robbins' programs for Africa back in 2010. I got the rights for Business Mastery, which is his premium #1 business product. And there were 32 DVDs and a whole bunch of workbooks. And what I found really interesting is that although I sold many of these packs across Africa, many people still had all the information, but they had no direction. And so if you've got all the information but don't have direction, it's useless too. And so I think I created the a mastery course, which was a 12-week course. And every week we went into one lesson, and then we had homework so that you could actually execute on the lesson that you were being learned, so that by the end of the 12 weeks, you had made measurable progress, not just in knowledge, but in action, which will take you to results. And so what I realized working with the team with the starter pack is that the starter pack is perfect for people who want to get started in property and literally want to get going. But for those of you that want to be more advanced, that really want to get into the concepts of where technology is going, how to become a global citizen, we created the WealthE 5.0 Accelerator. You'll get the starter pack, it's included. You will get the 12 lessons. So again, it's a 12-week journey that you're going to come on. There's going to be 12 one-hour coaching calls where literally someone signs up and actually joins the coaching call about that. For the very first one, I'm going to be running that. So it'll be a journey that we're going to be going on together with the likes of Fritz and Lee. You're going to get access to the Freedom Calculator. I showed you the nuts and bolts behind that the team are working on that I'm really excited about. You're going to get a one-to-one session with me. You're going to get a one-to-one tax and structuring session. So I just had a great call, which Fritz and Lee don't even know about, with Garth Wellman, and he's actually agreed, who's one of the family officers that helps the wealthiest families in South Africa and America. And what better to learn from someone that's actually doing it with the top families literally in the country, both in America and in South Africa, and all around generational wealth. This in itself is worth everything else, trust me. The people that came to the November events, and more importantly, the people that came to our WealthE weekend, just raved about Garth, and it's why we finally persuaded him to become part of our team. And then those that want to come on the buyer's trip, this will actually be a prerequisite coming on the buyer's trip, because we want people that are fully up to speed, know what's going on, and are prepared to truly take action in their life. The value is worth tens of thousands of dollars. And for me, what's really important when one takes into account is that we're sitting in the middle of February, and if you said to yourself by June, what about if you were all set up, had everything in place, all your plans and everything else, how would you feel? Where would you be? And then to literally come on a buyer's trip in July, what impact would that have on your life? And what we've done is that we want the people, people who want to just get started and get going with the starter pack. It's a fantastic way to get started in property. But for those that really are advanced and want to go to the next level, want to become global citizens, want to come on a buyer's trip, want to really build and have a meaningful contribution on this planet and take advantage of the disruption of technology, that is what the WealthE 5.0 Accelerator is all about. And as you can see, the first buyer's trip is to America in the middle to end of July, the 17th to the 26th of July. And the next buyer's trip, and I didn't actually highlight it, let me actually just close this quickly. I just want to open this up because I want to highlight this here very quickly. I made a mistake. I didn't do both of them. The other buyer's trip is down here. You can see in the UK. And so it's in the UK in November. And so if you're interested in the UK, then you can come out and do London and the UK in November with me. If you like rugby, we will go the weekend before to watch the Springboks play Ireland. Like I told you, we can't work hard and not have fun. So the WealthE 5.0 Accelerator is a prerequisite for someone that actually wants to come on the buyer's trip, because we want to make sure that everyone at least has the skill, the base level, and is prepared to really go hard at becoming a global citizen. And my last question to you is that if you were to take everything we've discussed, and if you remember the 6 steps that every investor needs, imagine over the next 12 months, if you were literally working on your belief on a consistent basis, you were working on your knowledge on a consistent basis, you're working on your access and ultimately your investments on a consistent basis. You had a system and you were optimizing that system on a consistent basis. You had support and accountability that was helping you go to the next level on a consistent basis. And finally, you're getting your results, your wealth, and your freedom. Where you are today and where you would be in a year. Can you imagine the difference that it would make in your life? And whether it's for you or not, that's your choice. This is not for everybody. This is for top producers. This is for people that want to get results in their life. This is for people that want to be in control of their destiny. And we're not going to do it for you, but what we are going to do is give you the tools and the ability to be able to set yourself up for success and to shortcut your way to success. Because why go and figure it all out yourself when you can already copy successful people? And like I said, there's 6 things you need, and we've created the system to help you with those 6 things. And so in conclusion, I speak a lot about this, but for me, something that I'm passionate about is inspiring dreams and enabling the belief in the impossible. Most people think that to retire and to have a US dollar passive income is impossible. I don't believe that. I believe it is possible, and we want to inspire that belief in you. And ultimately, we want to create a world of wealth, health, and happiness by having loads of fun, inspiring growth and change. And that's why we want to invite you on a journey. Tonight and the weekend and the webinars is about inviting you on a journey. And you get to choose. Either you want to come on the journey or you don't. And like I said, if you're in property or you want to get into property, the starter pack's the way to get going. Literally with everything I've spoken about tonight to get you going. If you're advanced and you want to go to the next level and you truly want to become a global citizen and you want to take advantage of the technology disruption, then the Wealth Accelerator is your program. And finally, that's all from me. In terms of a summation, I didn't expect it to take me 35 minutes to do a summation of the entire event. But I think that's everything from our side, and hopefully gives people a lot more clarity around what we did or didn't discuss. Now, Lee, I'm not sure if there's any questions that have come through, but while there are, I'm going to run a quick poll. I want to see the engagement from people, and I firstly want to know if people actually are interested in investing in global real estate. Yes, no, or more info. And if you wouldn't mind, Lee, while I'm putting up the poll, if you wouldn't mind letting me know if there's any questions and or any comments from either of you, Lee or Fritz. So
we do have one question that has come through from Saguma. Apologies if I have not pronounced your name correctly. The question is, you speak about long-term investments, 15 years plus or so. What guarantee is there that when I do invest, I will still be able to track my investments or even get my returns?
So I think that's a good question. And what I suggest we do is we go back to that video. Let me just get back to the slide here. So from my perspective, having been invested on 4 different continents around the world, one of the things I hated most was admin and trying to manage everything in one place. It drove me absolutely flipping crazy. And so one of the things that we've done by building the system is making it really easy for people in terms of managing everything in one place. And like we said, it's the 4th process. So if I go to this video, and I'm just going to accelerate it forward because you don't need to watch it again. If you go to the final stage here, where you can see this is now your portfolio, and you literally log into your portfolio. You can see your total holdings, your portfolio. You can see all the returns that you're getting. And as we grow over time, we actually want to have what we call smart investing, where you can start to see the portfolio analysis between what's happening in England versus America, what your global portfolio look like. And so the question's a great one, because every single deal at an individual level, you'll be able to see the returns, both the predicted returns and the actual returns. And then the intention of your portfolio overall will be to actually show you your blended return of what you're achieving. And where we want to go in terms of smart investing, and we're not there yet, but where we want to go is where we're taking that freedom calculator, and ultimately you're predicting where you want to be and when you want to be there. And then the system is helping you make the right decisions to be able to get there. So Lee, I don't know if I'm answering the question right, But for me, it's quite important that, you know, that people understand that our three core values are trust, transparency, and alignment. And the second two are the most important, because what he's asking is the transparency. Actually, it's all three. How do I trust the numbers? How can I see the numbers? So the platform is all about the transparency, and the alignment is that we're here for the long term. You know, if we just earned a nice commission on the front end, then, you know, why would we be incentivized to stay around for 15 years? Whereas actually we want to go on a journey with you and help you achieve your results. Fritz, is there something you want to say?
Yeah. I would just like to add that's why I'm here. So I can take you through the platform. I can take you through the whole process, through exactly what we do, how the platform works. So give me a call or WhatsApp me, and we can set that up.
There is a follow-on question from that says, but what guarantee is there that you will still be around? I mean, things change, companies close. So how will I get to my investments if you are no longer there?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that we handle a lot is risk. And why I think it's important to talk about risk is that there's three things we've done to de-risk the investment. The first one is that if you invest in any of the projects, you're actually investing directly in the deal. You're not giving us your money. We don't touch your money. You're investing directly in the deal. So to answer your question, if we were to follow Lehman Brothers and go out of business, and I fully agree with you that any business can go out of business, you don't lose your money because you invested directly in the deals. Would it mean that there's more hassle? Yes, because it wouldn't be as easy as just being able to see everything on one platform. However, you wouldn't lose any money, and the partner on the ground is still there, still managing and looking after the deal. They've got a vested interest because they've got their money in the deal as well. And ultimately, you know, you'd be no worse off in terms of your money. The second thing is that every deal is ring-fenced. So if one deal works and one deal doesn't work, they're ring-fenced. You can't rob Peter to pay Paul. And so every deal is treated independently. And the third is that we never touch your money. It actually goes through a digital wallet structure, completely third party, protected by European law, and then it goes into lawyers' trust accounts. We don't touch the money. And so, you know, we're not like a fund or a REIT that can go out of business and ultimately lose your money, and then your only hope would be to come back and try to liquidate the company. Because actually, we don't touch your money. You know, we could go out of business tomorrow morning and you still own your property. And we've done that specifically to completely de-risk your investment. Or no investment in the world is completely de-risked. Even your money in the bank is not de-risked, but to try and reduce the risk as much as possible.
That's great, Scott. Thank you very much for that comprehensive answer. Those were all the questions.
Lee, there's another question that I can see that's just coming through. And it's you know, which country do you invest in and where to get started? And it's a question I get asked all the time as well. And one of the ways that I would answer that is that there's no right answer. It's different for everybody. But if I learn from the most successful people, it's not about the one-off deal. It's actually about the consistency of investing and building a global portfolio. So it's about investing in America. It's about investing in England. It's about investing in Australia and investing in different markets. And the beauty of having the platform is that it's not the hassle. You don't need to have a huge amount of hassle to go into every country, set up different structures and bank accounts and tax. You don't have to do any of that anymore. Literally on the platform, you can manage everything in one place. Now, some people might love England and hate America, whatever, they hate Trump and they don't want anything to do with America. That's fine, that's your choice. You get to choose, you know, that's the freedom of your choice. Now, Fritz or Lee or Alex or Scott or me, you know, can't give you advice on what the right thing to do is. But I can safely say that having watched thousands of investors from all over the world invest nearly $1 billion, it's the people that consistently invest that build wealth over time, not the people that think they're going to make all their money out of their first deal.
Exactly, Scott, you're so right. So the following question from the previous ones that we were dealing with says, do I get the information you have just given me, which was about what happens if we are no longer there, when or if I do invest? So yes, you do get that information on investment. You get copies of all the documents that show your investments and your structure. What I will do though is I will get Fritz to give you a call Saguma, and he can run through it with you in more detail and answer all your specific questions around that and show you examples of that you get when you do make investments on our platform.
Actually, what we'll do is let me go back to the slide that had Fritz's details on. Sorry, I should have that one at the end. You can see my laptop's been working too hard today because it's on as close. So let's get to that slide while we're talking about it. So yeah, and I think that's the point, is that, you know, from a transparency perspective, anything you ask for, we will provide, right down to the fees and who's earning what and everything else. Because you know, the old age model of trying to hide everything and the risks and the fees and everything else, it's not in our interest. Like, we want transparency. We want people to invest with confidence. We want people to come on a journey with us and ultimately to build a global portfolio. And that's our intention, you know, and it's why we do so many live events. It's why we do so many online events. It's why we've got a whole team of wealth consultants so that you can deal with a human being. You know, I always say we love to be a global digital platform, but with a human heart. There's a question here about tax. And when I read the question, for me, what's interesting is that there's no right answer to tax, because it depends on each person in the country that they come from, and so we can't give tax advice. But when you see the returns, it is a net return before your own personal tax. So all the tax is taken care of in the country and where the property is. That's all taken care of in the most tax efficient way, so you don't have any problems with withholding tax or anything like that. But then it ultimately comes down to the net return will be put into your digital wallet, and then, you know, you'll get to decide based on your own personal circumstances what you declare and what you don't declare around personal tax. And that's obviously different. You know, we've got members in 133 countries, so it's different in each one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, it also depends on the structure that you're investing in, whether in your personal capacity, an LLC, a trust. So it's very complex and very personal to each individual investor. We've got another question that has come through here, Scott, that says, what is your minimum investment on your projects?
So currently on the platform, it's generally between $5,000 to $10,000. Every Wednesday, on the first Wednesday of every month, we have a concept called WealthE Wednesday, and that's probably what, Lee, 2 weeks away, plus minus. Where on the first Wednesday of every month, we actually drop it down to $1,000 minimum. And so you can get going from $1,000. If you join the starter pack, then you can get started from $100. Now, there's no way to get started from $100 other than doing the starter pack. And the reason we've done it is we want starter pack people to succeed. So we packaged it together, not just the investing, but the education, the belief, and the access. And with time, you know, hopefully we aim to bring down the minimum investments. But at the moment, it's at best on a WealthE Wednesday, it's $1,000. And then what's also important is that if you do invest and you get a return and it's in your digital wallet, then there's no minimum after that. Like, you can just invest. Like, we want your money working for you going forward. So it's only on the front end, the initial investors, and it's because there's higher costs for KYC, know your client, and AML, which is a source of funds. It's more costly the first time you do your investment than it is with subsequent investments.
Yeah, and just on that note, Scott, I'd just like to touch on KYC. So because we deal with money and investments, all our investors that are on the platform are required to go through our KYC process. So to know your clients, it's like you would have done at your bank, or if you buy a home or anything like that. So if you are looking to be part of our WealthE Wednesday, I would suggest that you do log on to our platform, which is www.wealthmigrate.com, and complete your KYC process before that, so that on WealthE Wednesday, if there is something or an investment that really takes your fancy, you are able to invest. If you're not KYC verified by WealthE Wednesday, you're not KYC. It does take a couple of days. Obviously, you send us your documents as part of your profile, and we have to verify those without does not happen immediately. So if you are interested in WealthE Wednesday and getting onto our deals for $1,000 as opposed to $5,000 or $10,000, I do suggest that you go onto the platform, register, and attend your KYC.
I'm also live here at the moment, so exactly where Lee said with migrate.com, you can see it all here. You can see the different deals, and you can actually see the minimum investment. So like this one's 5, this one's 10, this one's 5, and then when you actually log in, because legally by law we're not allowed to display it publicly. It's like a shop. We can't put investments up on the shop window. So you actually have to sign in and comply, as in from a legal perspective. And you sign in just like I've done. You log in, you go into the marketplace, and you can actually see all the different deals. You can see the minimum investment. You can see what's available. You can see how much is funded and where they are in the world. And then also what's important is when you log in, and you saw this live in the demonstration that I just gave you. I'm now doing this live, logged into the platform. But you can actually come here, you can see all the pictures, you can read all about the financials, you can read about the market, the investment, you can read about the sponsors and the due diligence. You can download all the documentation, which is quite detailed. We highlight the top risks right up front, the different milestones within the project. There's a whole investment risk category here, which I can go into in more detail if people are interested. And ultimately everything's here. And then, like Lee said, unless you're KYC'd, you won't have an invest button. So if you are KYC'd, there'd be an invest button here. So I've specifically logged into one of my profiles that doesn't have a KYC, because this irritated the hell out of me the first time because I couldn't find the invest button. But that's what this little red thing means here, that this profile is not KYC'd. And when it is KYC'd, there's literally a button here which allows you to invest. And then, say this was the deal you wanted to invest, you can literally go ahead and invest. But like I showed you, before, you've got your marketplace, you've got your overall portfolio, and you've got your education all in one place.
So we've got a follow-on question to that, and we've got a follow-on question to that, and that is, do I make on the starter pack more or less? That could be on $100.
Yeah, Lee, you broke up a little bit there. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
So the question is, how much returns do I make on the starter pack, more or less? So that would.
So let's go back to it, and let's look at two things. So if you take a starter pack, and I literally want to go to the exact slide that had the starter pack, you'll see that you're getting a $100 voucher as part of the starter pack. Okay, so it's like Fritz giving you $100 US, and you decide what you want to do with it. What that $100 is going to do is that when you log in, there's going to be $100 sitting in your digital wallet over here, and then you can decide which deal you want to invest in. Now, let's take the fact that this deal is earning you a 14% IRR. So that basically means that it's your income plus your capital growth is equal to 14% per year over a 3-year period. So on your $100, let's keep it simple. You would earn $14 a year for 3 years, plus minus. I'm not going to get all technical with time value of money and everything else, but in simple terms, on $100, you would earn $14 a year for $14 in year 1, $14 in year 2, and $14 in year 3. Now, I can get all technical and say some of that is income, and you're going to earn that throughout the period of the property, and some of it is capital growth, and you're going to only earn that on the exit. But tonight's not the purpose of going into that detail. The question was simple: what would I make on my $100? Now, just by the way, if it was $1 million, it would be the same thing. It's 14% of whatever you invest.
That looks like that is all the questions that we've got at the moment. I don't know, Fritz, if you've come across any generally asked questions amongst your clients recently that you'd like to share the questions and the answers with, or Scott, if you have anything else you'd like to share.
Fritz, go first, and then I'll go on from
I
you.
think from most of my clients' perspective, we are all just waiting for the amazing wallet system that we're getting, and that's going to be implemented shortly. So maybe if we can speak a bit about that, it would be great.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I've had so many meetings that I can't remember if I mentioned it in this webinar, but we are integrating with two of the biggest banks in the world, which is Barclays Bank and BNP Paribas, and we're working through one of the biggest digital wallet providers in the world. We've done all the technology, and we're in the final due diligence of what they call a financial audit. Remember, at the end of the day, dealing with people's money here. So we're literally in the final stages of getting that signed off. Fritz, if I could guarantee that it was going to be tomorrow morning or the day after, I would be a happy man. But unfortunately, having dealt with banks for 20 years, I've never been able to guarantee anything when it comes to banks. So, so yes, I mean, it's imminent. It's literally, it's very, very close. And until it comes live, we will continue in a manual way, which is the way we've done it for 6 years, and help people invest over $100 million. So it's not that it doesn't work, but what we're super excited about is once it goes live, it makes the whole experience for investors just go to another level.
Sure.
So what I'd like to do is, I think if the idea behind this webinar was just to have a follow-up, to do a Q&A. If anyone's got any questions, they've got access to Fritz's details where they can literally ask him, anything else in terms of following up with him. So definitely need to restart this machine, and you can see the details coming up there. But what I'd like to do is just have closing comments from you, Lee, and then Fritz, and then I'll close out if there's no further questions.
So from me, thank you everybody for being online. It's always great to share with you. As you can see, we are very passionate about our product and what we are trying to do, and we are all here to help you. So any questions you do have, send them to Fritz, send them to myself. The whole team is here to help you reach your investment and financial dreams. So thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you within our communities in the future.
Yeah, I think Lee did it all.
Man of many words. So just thanks to both of you for setting it up, Fritz. I know you were there on the weekend, met many people face to face, and people can put a face to a name, which I really appreciate. To all of you that have joined us this evening, it's wonderful to have you online. We're inviting you on a journey, and if you're not sure what to do next, that's why we created the starter pack. It is the all-encompassing way to get started. If you do join the starter pack tonight, we will chuck in the tickets to the events so that you can literally come and meet us face to face as well, and spend time with the team. And if you're watching a recording, well, come and join us at the events anyway. You'll just have to pay for it. That's the advantage of coming live on webinars. And really, from my perspective, thank you and welcome on the journey. I believe that we've all got the ability to be a global citizen. I believe we've all got the ability to create the freedom we want in our lives. And I also believe that while doing that, we can have a purposeful impact on the planet. And if that's something that intrigues you or excites you or even irritates you, then I invite you on the journey to see if it's possible. Cheers and good night.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.